Salut. This is your Hawkeye. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Whether it's right now, myself and possibly one other person, and to get that audio, or whether you're hearing this, it's at a later date. Welcome to my channel, and thank you for joining in. Yeah, just come when it's delayed. I'm trying to set things up, and it's a certain point. It's like, okay, if we're going to do this, we got to go. And yeah, just got to hit start and just roll with it, right? Just got to roll with it. What from Collateral? Tom Cruise's character Darwin I Ching got to adapt, got to roll with it. From 2004, I believe, with Tom Cruise, Jamie Foxx, directed by Michael Mann. Brilliant film. How about this? I saw it so in 2004 on VHS. Wow, that sounds so weird. My memory though is so renting it like from a local Rogers Video, and as soon as it ended, I hit rewind and what I was mesmerized by this film for a number of reasons. But there you go. What do I want to do? I want to share. Let's see. Here's your Hawkeye. Let's see settings. No, that's not what I want. Share screen. Now, I have no idea if audio comes through as well. This is going to be a new experience. I think I've tried this in the past. I do not remember how. And of course, I type in the scene, and I've apparently posted this to my channel 7 months ago. I've not seen this series. I think it's Disney with Jeremy Hawkeye Renner, just before his snowcat accident. Oh shit! You're Hawkeye. I rocks this. Yeah, I rock a flip phone. I did rock a smartphone some time ago, and decided nope, going backwards. And sure that certainly has meant lost opportunities for this and for that. But man, how about this Wind River with Jeremy Hawkeye Renner. And was it 2017? Taylor Sheridan, and that name is familiar, but I don't remember why at the moment. So release dates, August 4th. Here we go. We got a Greta Gerwig, Beirut, Lebanon explosion connection. Actually, too, how about this? August 4th and August 6th, James Springer White has a birthday, 4 August 1821, has a death date, 6 August 1881. Just a little interesting. And the current name of, or one of the current names of one of the names of the current variant, Ellen Gould White, AEG.5, and I, for me, that's just back to the connection, just like Corona and coronavirus being this pointing towards the Queen of Heaven, and we're back at it. And of course, are we salivating? Are we dreading this? What's going to be happening? What's coming back? What are we going to be doing with masking and so on in the near future? What's it going to be like? And what hell? Or did glass have empty, glass half full? How do we respond to it? How do we learn about ourselves? Okay. Hey, Lauren, good evening. Thank you. Benjamin, when you put your top messages, you have to specifically click on all messages so you can see all chats. Okay, pardon me. Okay, so I have no idea if you're watching this. Have I done the same? Hey, AW Astroworks. Good morning. Good morning. Good evening. Good evening. Good morning. Benjamin, if this is there something else I need to do? Hey, this still feels as I've explained a few times, very new. Wind River. Let's visit your some of your art imitating life. How's this? Part of my background. I come from a bicycle messenger background over over 2 decades ago. This scene is Graham Greene, who played Kicking Bird in Dances with Wolves with Kevin Costner and a bunch of other actors. We're going back to the early 90s for that. And so Graham Greene, I'll let the scene play and then I'll skip ahead. Up here, Hugh Dillon, and I know him first from the Canadian band, so Canadian Boy from the Headstones, and the fact though, how about this? No, I'm just gonna check the chat. Yeah, Terzna. I'm just gonna ask. Does audio, if you're listening, is audio come through when I'm playing a clip? Somebody can give me a response if you don't mind. Terzna, good to see you. Thank you. Okay, no, I don't know what that means or what I need to do that. What does that mean? It's perfect, as in you can hear the audio. I paused it, so there's no audio. So if I'm letting this run, can you hear this? No audio on clip. Okay. Shit. Okay. Okay. Well, I'll have to relearn how to do that. Nonetheless, here's the scene in Wind River and what I wanted to show. So you have Graham Greene, police officer, gets shot amongst his final shootout with Elizabeth Olsen. And Hugh Dillon is like one of the last. He's not hit. If you've not seen this, I apologize. Shit, where is it? I'll jump into my back. No. So Hugh Dillon looking up, looking out into the distance, seeing something, and what happens? Renner's character, Jeremy Hawkeye Renner's character, Hawkeye, takes him out. 20 years ago, I ran into Graham Greene. Where is he? Piss and rain. I'm standing out front of a particular restaurant that a lot of celebrities and stars visited when in Vancouver. And there was like an outdoor heater, and it's pouring rain. There's a bit of shelter. I'm standing literally under this thing, waiting for my next call. And I've literally got my arms upraised. I'm soaked, and I'm radiating steam. And I'm staring up at this thing and I notice literally past my right shoulder, this guy walks by me, and there's the hostess was standing outside with me, and I'm like, hey, that's, and I couldn't remember his name, and I'm like, that's Kicking Bird, so the character he literally played in Dances with Wolves. And in another time of year, during warmer weather, warm, sunny, normal, warm, dry weather, Hugh Dillon, I just about took this guy out. He was almost came onto the street between two cars, hailing a cab. And your hawk, I just about sideswiped him. Where is he? Of course, remember, just going back over 20 years. So what a scene involving, in part, is it not my I don't know, call it my namesake. Again, the irony, is it a coincidence? There's a number of things going on, but anyway, I take the scene personally as well. All right. How are we doing? All right, coming back to, I hear you audio, not the video clip. Jeremy Renner, Canadian. No, Renner's not Canadian. But Graham Greene and Hugh Dillon are. Yep. Oh, yeah. You know the deal. Quicksilver. Quicksilver, one word. It's 1980. Yeah, the 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. And Lawrence Larry Fishburne, Kevin Bacon. Quick. 1986. Released 14 February 1986. Yeah, good. Yeah, he wrote a fixed gear. I'm sure he must have trained. I can't remember some of the details, but in the film, Bacon's character rode a fixed gear bike. Some scenes, though, it's clearly not fixed gear. There's a freewheel on the back, and there's a handbrake fitted to his bike. But for the most part, one gear, no brakes. And it's so fixed gear being there's no freewheeling. So as soon as the bike's moving forward, the cranks are cranking over. So I rode like that for a time. I rode a fixed gear bike without brakes. I rode a fixed gear bike with brakes, and I did have a geared bike. Yeah. How about this? I'll quote Fury with Brad Pitt. Oh, there's a bunch of guys, and I'm dropping names. Michael Pena, Brad Pitt, Shia LaBeouf, Shia the Beef. Best job I ever had. Best job I ever had. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. All right. We are just going to look at a couple things tonight. Mount Moriah. This was brought up last night. Of course, of all the things that could be talked about, lots going on in the world. But we're just going to hit Maria Tecla Artemisia Montessori. Born August 31st, 1870. And where is it? Is Xavier University, Jesuit education and Montessori education, common threads. I'm just going to click at the chat. How's everybody doing? Thank you for, again, being here. Nothing major, just actually, you know what? Why not? I'll put the link in the chat, so at least it's preserved. The comparisons of the Jesuit pedagogy, Jesuit ratio Studiorum, and Montessori. Anyway, go forth and set the world. The fact that, look at that, how can I make a difference in the world? Go forth and set the world on fire. What are my challenges? What are my strengths? What is one's cosmic task? How do I use my choices to enhance and contribute to the community? Service rooted in justice and love. That's Jesuit education. Men and women for others. I know it's the irony of, inverting that, because the Jesuit saying literally men for others. Well, especially when you consider bugger the boy for 7 years and we'll give you the man, or we'll bugger the boy for 7 years and we'll give you the man. There'll be no justice without love. Yeah. Anyway, I found this interesting. We don't need to go through it. It's there if you want to look at that, just the comparison between the Montessori method. What we can tell you, though, come on. Issue of America, the Jesuit Review of Faith and Culture. Let's see. This person, Pascal Emmanuel Aubry, discusses Maria Montessori and her education method. The most important thing about Maria Montessori is that she never used the term Montessori method. She always referred to her method as scientific education or scientific pedagogy or pedagogy. Whenever I hear or see this, I think of Adolfo Nicolas. Adolfo Nicolas is the, or was the, Adolfo '30th Jesuit Superior General. So April 29, 1936. So how's that for also his death date, which we've covered in the Cerisi team briefs and so on, May 20th, 2020. So May 20th or 20th of May being the anniversary date. Remember 1521, 20 May 1521 being the date that Loyola received or had the encounter with the cannonball or cannonballs, had his legs shattered, changed it. So the Ignatian year, which began in 2021, I believe, began May 20th. But the fact that Adolfo Nicolas, 30th Jesuit Superior General, did he actually die this day? Or, so the date being fabricated, or to acknowledge the day, some kind of power to the day? Was he put to sleep? Did he see the accident pillow? And at the same time, remember, which we've covered in the last couple of briefs, the fact, remember, going back to 2016, there were five living popes. I think that this is an important point to know and understand, and here we go with repetition. When did Hans? Yeah, we have a look at this too. We also have so not only is September 3rd the anniversary day of what's the Latin? This is the finger stroke of God. So Alessandro Farnese, Pope Paul III's reaction to hearing Ignatius Loyola's formula, which were given the date, which was my very first stream, the timeline, September 3rd, 1539 is the date we're given from a Jesuit website, Jesuit timeline. Jesuit website gives us that date. So here's an anniversary date of Arupe. When he stepped down, he did not die. I believe he had a stroke actually on Francis Xavier's birthday, 7 April. I think it was 1981. And that rendered him unable to continue as Jesuit general. And that opened the door for Hans Kolvenbach, Peter John Kolvenbach, to step in. Of course, as general, it began 13 September 1983. This is around the time that James Arabito was released behind the door, the Jesuits behind the door, with Alberto Rivera and others. And then, of course, Kolvenbach. Remember, generals, in part, like the white popes, they held the office for life. We have the first. Well, perhaps we can go back to 18th Jesuit Superior General. Remember, Lorenzo Ricci, and then, of course, when his generalate supposedly ended, when he supposedly died, and then we have the Jesuit suppression date. Sorry, so his generalate supposedly ended, and then we have the Jesuit suppression date, and then you have Ricci's alleged death. Okay, skipping back down. Adolfo Nicholas took over. So Kohlenbach stepped down January 14th, 2008. Nicholas stepped in 19 January 2008. And his generalate was completed October 3rd, 2016. And 11 days later, Arturo Sosa stepped in. His generalate began. And so you had, remember, Peter Hans Kohlenbach, Adolfo Nicholas, Arturo Sosa, you have Pope Francis, and you have Pope Benedict XVI or Joseph Ratzinger, all alive at the same time. And of course, this being 2016, for 6 weeks were 5 living popes. And then, of course, looking over these last 3 years, and we've posed the question: is this what the sole reason for having 5 popes orchestrating this? Essentially, what these last 3 years have been, and what's coming. So there's something exciting about that, something horrific. And remember, this is the beautiful thing. So this position, the office of the Jesuit Superior General, the antithesis of the ultimate true king and ultimate superior general, Jesus of Nazareth. And so not only 5 couldn't even match. It's just something profound going on here. And the fact, again, that we are alive during this time. Okay. I'm just going to quickly check what's that about, what they say about their method. Sounds okay, of course, but the unstated outcome is a reverence, if not respect, for Catholic institutions. The opposite, becoming godless, is desired outcome too. Specifically, Benjamin, the Montessori method. Is that what you're referring to? Of course, public Jesuit ratio Studiorum through the public school. Yes, of course, becoming godless is a desired outcome too. Back to what we were discussing. Well, this idea of just talking into a mic. 9/11, where young people are at, like, what hope do they have for any kind of future? And of course, that nihilistic spirit. There's no worth having pursuits. Why not just, whether it's pursuing pleasure and all the avenues that leads to, or that a person can go down, a young person can go down. Okay, Montessori. I did want to hit. So we have our medical. There's two points. Medical illustrators. What is her name? There was a team of people. I have notes for this. I don't have them on hand. This is something I dug into quite some time ago. But I did make a note that I wanted to bring this up this evening. You know what? Why not just check this out? See what we got. CIANN. So look at that. We're going back to 18 April 2020. You just think about that. Wow. 3.5, almost 3.5 years ago. When medical illustrators Alyssa Eckert and Dan Higgins at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention started working on an illustration of the novel coronavirus. Little did they realize that it would be the image people around the country and the world would see every day during the pandemic. After the CDC's Emergency Operations Center was activated in late January, Eckert and Higgins were told they needed to get an image of the virus out to the public. They sprang into action immediately, starting by researching the structure of the virus and consulting with subject matter experts in the lab at CDC, Eckert said. Once I got that information, the illustrators turned to the protein data bank on the web. The data bank is a database of three-dimensional structure of large biological molecules like proteins and nucleic acids, plural. Using the research of the protein data bank of the virus, we were then able to compile the necessary data to construct the viral structure in 3D environment. We downloaded this data into visualization software. Already getting into Ignatian contemplation visualization. Took the parts we needed, optimized them, then took them into 3D software. Here's our team of medical illustrators that brought us this image. At no point is Jesuit Athanasius Kircher cited, which we'll pull up that image in this. We didn't want, one of the key things Eckert and Higgins had to keep in mind was to use colors that would communicate the gravity of the situation to the public. We didn't want it to be too playful. So the idea of Photoshop image manipulation, it just like cinema, the fact that as soon as record is pressed, struck, whatever you want to call it, actuated, and whether it's film, whether it's video, the very nature of recording something automatically already means manipulation. We're limited into seeing what the image we're given, and essentially the cinematographer, the director of photography, under the guidance of the director, the authority to direct what is to be captured. There's already manipulation taking place, because again, disinformation by omission. You think of in any scene, what information is missing, what's in a scene and what is out of a scene, which of course we have no idea. And then the beauty of certain characters like Deadpool and so on, who break what's called the fourth wall. That also happened, let's say, in the first Matrix. Carrie-Anne Moss's character Trinity in the phone booth. No, even prior to at the heart of the city hotel or motel, she's being warned that agents are on their way, and she looks, and so in the dark room at the computer, looks right down the barrel of the lens and the camera, breaking the fourth wall. So we didn't want it to be too playful, but we didn't want it to be scary either. Sounds like Barbie and Ken and Oppenheimer. We also wanted the structure to have a realistic feel to it, Eckert said. Besides making sure the image was realistic, they needed to ensure the public would understand that coronavirus is affecting everyone's communities. In short, they had to bring it to life. Yeah, I think collectively we can hear it. It's alive. It's alive. Creating it with lifelike textures that make you feel like you can touch it brings it closer to reality. It is a way to take something complex and abstract and make it tangible. We gave the virus a face. They both chimed in. The graphic services branch at the CDC has 8 illustrators, 6 medical and 2 non-medical. Fabrication. Like space travel, pick your, like, Athanasius. Kircher. Subterraneous. Can't remember the name of this, the title. Mundus Subterraneus. Yeah. I misspell E instead of an A. Mundus Subterraneus. And if I can find the date. Well, here's a textbook which was published in 1665, but Athanasius Kircher, let's just look his dates. So 2nd of May, 1602 to 27 November, 1680. 27 November, I think that's also a Bruce Lee date, death date anniversary. And there's of course going to be others too. But was this image somehow this literally the source of what was given to us? Is this? And of course, this has been covered in Johnny's Disciples of Ra. Brilliant textbook. Go to johnnysrucci.com or Amazon. Let's see. I'm just going to look at the. All right. Many who become disillusioned, just looking at the chat, many who become disillusioned with Catholicism, thinking it to be the true church or Christianity, become godless. Same with her daughter church. Yeah. Yeah, or this idea that, well, one, not just a false Christ, but this introduction of the mother of God, and whatever the spirit behind that and the power of that. Funny how they came up with a model that looks so alike. Yes. Yeah, here's not the irony. And it's just, how about this? It's just like literally the uncredited source for the Marvel comic. We've covered this many times. The Marvel comic universe is Thanos' gauntlet with the 6 Infinity Stones based on Teresa of Avila's, or Teresa of Jesus. She had Teresa of Avila. So look, so her 28 March, 1515. So essentially as well, remember, so her timeline during essentially the beginning of the Jesuit order. And then remember her death, the day she died, and her confessor was Jesuit Francisco Ribera, the author or source of Jesuit futurism. The day she died, 4 October 1582, remember, the Julian calendar ended and the Gregorian calendar began. And October 4th, 1582 became, at the snap of a Thanos gauntlet finger, became October 15th. Who changes times, who changes times and seasons. And her, let's see, in her gauntlet, Teresa of Avila gauntlet. St. Teresa of Avila's incorrupt hand. Yeah, here's your gauntlet here. So, and then let's return to her page. Teresa Sanchez de Cepeda de Villa y Ahumada. Okay. Also called Saint Teresa of Jesus, Carmelite nun, prominent Spanish mystic and religious reformer, active during the Counter-Reformation. But remember, look at this. Remember her, so her beatification date, 24 April 1614, by Paul V. But how about this as well? Canonized, declared a saint, canonized 12 March 1622 by Gregory XV, the exact same day that Gregory XV canonized Ignatius Loyola and Francis Xavier. So here's our uncredited source of our modern Thanos gauntlet, just as the uncredited source for this is Athanasius Kircher's illustration of essentially what would be the veins of the earth, of the quote unquote globular globe earth, the earth that Neil deGrasse Tyson, I believe from a number of places who he has honorary degrees from, I believe also has an honorary degree from the so-called Public University of Pennsylvania. Okay. Oh, and while we're here, let's see. No, I think I'm just looking at notes. What I wanted to mention, I think we've hit a few points. So anyway, today, August 31st. We'll take a quick look at the list. August 31. I've not seen if Zach Hubbard is anything he's published recently. Okay, I think I'd also mentioned this too. So August 31st, 1535, Paul III, so Alessandro Farnese, excommunicates English King Henry VIII from the church. And of course, there's the papal bull, however this is pronounced. Use, I don't know if that's king, he who's immobilized. I'm not sure what use means, but who, yeah. There's probably some other events that are significant. I don't want to, yeah. How about this, the birthday of Caligula? So in the Gregorian calendar, 31 August, Caligula, Roman Emperor. So Caligula is covered in part in Johnny Cerrucci's Eaters of Children. The Prodocracy exposed, how access to power is granted through the rape, torture, and ritualistic slaughter of the innocent. There's Maria Montessori, 1870. Wow. Mostly, though, now something, of course, that if I'm quickly looking for something, most significant dates that I look for, it's around the who's, in part the who's who, and it remember, this is just one source, but now around, so from not usually too early, but we go right towards 1200s, all the way up to maybe even 1800. What happened or who was born during this time? But most that significant. Sometimes there'll be those that are found, of course, later on. But then at the same time, there's also those who died. And I find death dates, of course, being a lot more significant. We got Henry V of England. Nothing that jumps out. Immediately. And then, of course, another thing is I may have missed. You know what? Okay. I was going to go down another road that I'll pause that, keep that to myself. And then, of course, holidays and observances, and it's brilliant, and it's been consistent enough that it sometimes there'll even be a Jesuit name listed, and it with the notation Jesuit. Joseph of Arimathea. We have Nicodemus. Anyway, Just going to be looking at the chat. Mary is to them the equivalent of Isis, Ishtar, Ashtoreth, Diana, Athena, Artemis, Gaia. Yeah, probably could be something to that too. Even the idea of the 201 Jesuits finding safe haven. This second process, that how immediately disregarding or throwing it out. This narrative is a huge ass error, and I realized that over the last 10 years. I know for me, let's see, 2014, the film Noah. This in part Genesis 6 goes back to into the 90s for me. Of course, what it's inevitable. You start in Genesis, and as a brand new Christian starting in Genesis, which many say don't do that, and then inevitably crossing over the term Nephilim. What does that mean? And then even hearing the answers back then, but 2014 was significant for me, especially when the film Noah, Darren Aronofsky's Noah, came out, which reintroduced the term, and then introduced the beings. Yeah. How many Gregors are there that we know of? What is it? It was Gregory the 15th. I don't want to guess, but perhaps Gregory was the most used. No, Pius. What we have Pius the 11th, Pius the 12th. I know in the series The Young Pope with Jude Law, he played the fictitious Pius. The Young Pope, he played the fictitious Pius the 13th. But back to the 200 Watcher Angels, yeah. How do we get the significance even of? Well, was it turned into essentially turned into and left in Sunday school as a children's story on purpose? The power taken away from the David and Goliath narrative. And the fact that there's a connection, I believe, between you have the David slaying Goliath, the references to family members in both Samuel and Chronicles. The fact that David beheads Goliath with Goliath's own sword. And of course, in David's narrative, that sword resurfacing later on in the narrative. Where did David take the head? David brought the head to Jerusalem. Where was Jesus, the root of Jesse, the son of David? Where was he crucified? He was crucified at the place of the skull, Golgotha. Whose skull? Goliath's skull. The significance of all these tie-ins, I'd go all the way back, literally, to Genesis 3:15. And this certainly, the subject matter is we can spend at some point. Yes, I would love to discuss it further, but to not acknowledge it. And of course, how about this? The fact that it's a Genesis 19, the Sodom and Gomorrah narrative. The fact that it's rare, if ever, acknowledged how close, of course. How many chapters previous? So it's from Genesis 6 to Genesis 19. You're not too far. What were the men? What were the men in Sodom and Gomorrah trying to do? They're trying to bang the angelic visitors. And was this narrative about homosexuality? Was the judgment brought on, the fire falling from heaven brought on by homosexuality, or was it because men wanted to reintroduce, or what they believed would reintroduce potentially what occurred prior to the flood? This is where Genesis 19 is a direct link back to Genesis 6. And then, of course, which leads up to the violence. So Samson and the Philistines, and then inevitably the seed of the promise, the promised seed of woman, amen, born of a virgin. Crushing the head of the serpent, as prophesied in Genesis 3:15. And of course, that symbolism, which also shows up in Loyola Marymount honorary awarded Latin Mass Catholic Mel Gibson in his The Passion for the Christ in 2004. Some of the opening scene, you have Jim Caviezel as Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, stomping on the head of the snake. And I've drawn parallels into even modern cinema, borrowing from that imagery. How about 2015's Mad Max Fury Road, a character that is defined by Mel Gibson, taken over for 2015's release, played by Tom Hardy. And the fact that you have in the beginning of Mad Max Fury Road, you have the heel strike of the double-headed lizard, and the fact that Max Rockatansky, so the Max character, not only crushes the double-headed lizard, but also eats it. And that's how the film essentially opens. And I draw parallels from that to Luke 24. The only explicit food that Jesus of Nazareth ever eats in his resurrected state is broiled fish. Some translations say broiled fish and honey. There's something spiritual going on here as well, not just literal, something spiritual going on here. And then, of course, learning that Jesus' name with the Yod He Vav Shin Ayin, each character having meaning. What does it make? Behold the nailed hand that eats, consumes, destroys, the eye, the see, the experience. And then, of course, the Father, Yod He Vav He, behold the nail, behold the hand, or behold the nailed hand. Let's see, hidden comments that can show up only if you click on the newest first. You are automatically set up. I'll have to okay, another time. I don't know where I'm supposed to be clicking here, bro. So again, appreciate you are automatically just set to top messages. Well, yeah, I don't know how to. And rather than get wound up about that, we can just dial it back. I want to acknowledge, let's see, this is where it gets, how about we'll get to the crazy portion of the evening. I don't have the image at the moment, but new comment. Hey, JR, thank you, Bob Dobbs. Thanks for making these. You're welcome. But we got Murray commented on. Yes, Clint Eastwood. That's funny. How about this? Whenever there have been times in my life when I get asked my name, Clint, and the response is, "Oh, you mean?" It's either one of two. It's either, "Oh, like Clint Eastwood," or it's, "Oh, like Bill Clinton." So I'm either, my name is either draws up a how about that? As it draws up the reference to either the cowboy, the good, the bad, and the ugly, Clint Eastwood, or Bill. I didn't inhale Clinton. All right, Eastwood had big hips, but who cares? That okay. Certainly also uncomfortable subject matter to go down. I know we did in part sort of bring up that subject matter a number of years ago. I'm not uncomfortable by the idea that are all A-list actors the who they are presented as. How about this? What I remember specifically, and maybe I'll just leave it at this, because again, there's no way we can concretely answer or investigate the sex of a person. Sure, yes, we all come in all different shapes and sizes. Yes, there are telltale given signs, like men have this, women have that. Women generally don't have Adam's apples and other features, and men don't. You get what I'm saying? But I remember as a boy, I loved Clint Eastwood films, and of course, having a father that's how I was introduced. And then of course my father loving cinema. We it, like so from Superman. Like I credit all this to my father. And Fire is it Firefox? Fire Clint Eastwood. And I have an image saved. It's a screenshot taken a long time ago. Clint Eastwood Firefox. So we're going back to 1982. Metro Gant, Clint Eastwood, a veteran American pilot. So Eastwood is picked up. He's visited in his rural. I don't know if it's a log cabin. It's a rural setting. I remember as a boy. There's this shirtless scene of Clint Eastwood, and I believe he's walking with a female. I don't. Nonetheless, I remember as a boy though, thinking with looking at Clint Eastwood, there's something not right with this picture. I remember that, and of course, revisiting that in recent times, I believe I grabbed a screenshot. It's something. Yeah, no, the man's pelvis is. It's not just hips. It's the idea of how can a man have a pelvis specifically that size? Again, acknowledging we come in all shapes and sizes. There are anomalies. There are rules, but there are also exceptions. But it certainly does lead to the question of who are these people that have literally have they been selected, like whether from birth, to literally be the players before us that literally sell us narratives. And then we go back to the Montessori method or Jesuit pedagogy, racial studiorum. How deep does the indoctrination go? And then, of course, I don't fully understand John Paul's or JP's. Something was brought up about 1,000 years being inserted or added to the calendar that Rome would have added. That potentially they didn't occur. That's something it's certainly fascinating to consider. But the idea though that what is our reality? I know for me, like in part, discussing reality, our present reality, like cosmology, the place in which we live. I know for me, it's not just about taking somebody else's word, but I remember there was a point like in 2015 where I had to go back to some of the photographs. I have a photography background, going back to one photo in particular where I'm, whether you're familiar with what's called Vancouver Island, British Columbia. I have my camera facing east from the oh my goodness, how do I even describe? So essentially, I'm photographing my family, and behind my family is the mainland, which is 25 to 30 miles away. And also, as a photographer with any kind of landscape, there's this. It's not just a rule. It's if you get this wrong, and it's not intentional, like a Dutch angle, which is approximately 45-degree angle, you get the horizon line wrong, your image is screwed. The human being, our brilliant minds are brilliant. We pick up discrepancies, we pick up errors very quickly. Even if we may not be able to correctly articulate. Looking at an image when the horizon is off, we know without question something is wrong. Which is why looking at people's photographs and the horizon line off, it's non-pro. Certainly, that's one aspect, not but it's a pretty big aspect. And then introducing the rule of thirds, and then of course rules are there to be broken, so on and so forth. But back to the horizon line. So for me, horizon line, but also having to dig one particular photograph up with the question of is this narrative possible? meaning no curvature, no measurable nor observable curvature. And there was this image for me, and it which led to going out and testing for myself, answering the questions for myself. Where is there curvature? And not finding any. And then, of course, this was an important moment too, because this was a farther test than I did. Josh Nowicki, Chicago photo, across Lake Michigan. And this was put forth as an anomaly. This, I believe, was just over 60 miles. And I can't remember with the curvature math. Remember, the math is established. There's no changing it. 8 inches per the curvature is 8 inches per mile squared. And the so-called mirage, I can't remember the name of the. I think it was an actual so-called meteorologist, while having this photograph on screen, presenting it, that it's a mirage. How did he? It's lengthening that a mirage. And but Nowicki not only published a photo but time-lapse video. This was not just an anomaly. He'd been to this exact same spot on different days and recorded time-lapse video. So video recorded over a long period of time and then sped up. And clearly it's not a mirage. And the fact that over 60 miles where there should have been, again, do the math, this should not be in sight at all. Anyway, the tools we have at our fingertips, and do we use them fully? And of course, there's the tools at our fingertips. The fact that what drives our present state, the fact that what are we willing to do without, and this idea of our present state, how we've become so reliant on technology. And again, technology, it's neither good nor bad, but the fact that what kind of technology is being used, of course, for what the going forth and setting the world on fires, worlds on, you know what I'm saying, sending fires all over the place. Interesting enough, there was something that came up briefly. Johannesburg, a significant fire. I don't know a lot of the details, but just acknowledging, even I've covered Johannism not at length, but I have brought it up specifically as a result of cinema. The fact that how many characters have the name John. So John Rambo, John Wick, John Johnson, the fictitious name that Guy Fawkes gave as cover. And of course, John Wick having Giordani Jovanovic, which is equivalent to John Johnson. There are a number of other characters, and I'm drawing a blank at the moment. But Johannesburg, essentially John's town, John's city. So anyway, August 31st. Okay, this looks like we're on Pacific Standard Time. We are now September 1. Okay, I'm just going to check the chat. Goddamn cross of Nimrod. Yeah, even the cross. It's not all. Remember, all sources, all crosses have the origin in the fashion that Cain slaughtered Abel. How about this? All mythology. I know that this has come up in part amongst the team, that it's not just about the false narrative, but all mythology finds its roots. Genesis 6, literally the world, the antediluvian world, the world before the flood. Truly the beast has made the world worship the dragon. Yeah. And what does scripture say? That all will wonder after the beast. Okay. Anything needs to be addressed for right now? It's worthy. I was thinking I'll jump on for 5 minutes. All right. Teresa of Avila, Teresa of Jesus, source of the Thanos Gauntlet, canonized with it Loyola and Xavier. She was the member of Francisco Ribera, the source of, or as we're given, the source of Jesuit futurism, which is taught mostly in what high 90% of behind pulpits, from pulpits today. This expectation of an excitement, the third temple is coming, the literal third temple. Sacrifices being prepared, the red heifer, the accoutrements. All right. I'll figure out how to put audio with movie clips and so on, because that's part of what we do here too. Definitely helps illustrate points. Sorry about that. Triple cross comes up a lot in Catholic paintings. As with the single upright and with the triple cross beam type cross, Lauren. Anyway, appreciate everyone here. I'm just scrolling through from Tersna to Benjamin, Lauren, AWO Astroworks. Have I missed anybody? And Marie, whenever you're listening to this, something going on with Eastwood. Sure, I remember as a boy, even just something's not right with this picture. But his work. I had a Josie Wales poster of Eastwood. There's this classic image from the outlaw Josie Wales, where he's the specific stance, the way he's holding his two pistols. Had that poster 24 by 36 on my wall for many years growing up. And I'm drawing a blank. What else can we be said about Clint Eastwood at the moment? Okay, I think we'll leave it at that. I'm yes, okay. Yeah, certainly. Multiple cross versions, each representing something significant. Yeah, thank you, Benjamin. Have a good rest, everyone. It's afternoon here where I'm in the Philippines. Hey, thank you very much. We really appreciate. Thank you very much. You know what? Thanks for the reminder. I'll even like my own video. Thank you, Lauren. I appreciate that. Damn, the Philippines. That's so cool. That's exciting. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm smiling. That's just it's crazy. Still, it's crazy. It's not crazy, but it's crazy. Where do we live? I think the Philippines is in part it's literally the Ring of Fire, the Pacific Rim. All right, you guys, much love. This is your Hawkeye. Until next time, and quote in the cap, resistance is rising.